Once your PC's hardwired Ethernet interface has a unique IP address from the same subnet as your gateway's default IP address, you can fire up any standard internet-based browser application and attempt to access the gateway's web server. Enter the gateway's default IP address in your browser's address bar, as shown here. Within a few seconds, your new residential gateway device's web server should respond with a demand for authentication. You must prove that you know the gateway's default username and password that we discussed earlier. Once you're beyond that point, the gateway's web server will offer all sorts of options to you. Usually, there's a well-thought-out sequence of web links that will lead you, step by step, through the process of configuring your gateway equipment to access the Internet through your Internet service provider. And that should be your next task. Look for prominent links labeled Start Here or SetUpWizard and carefully follow their step-by-step instructions. If your ISP requires its own username and/or password, you'll be required to enter it, and your network gateway equipment will remember and reuse that information for you every time you need access. The process will try to figure out what kind of Internet service is connected, and if it needs help, you'll need to provide additional information from your ISP notes. Usually, you won't need to do anything but click on simple buttons labeled Next or Continue, because the default values are generally appropriate. Within a few minutes, as you work your way through this process, your gateway's web server should inform you that your Internet access is working, and you should find that the PC you have been using to communicate with that gateway device can also now communicate with other websites all over the worldwide Internet. Now that your gateway equipment is connecting your PC to the Internet, it's time to change the associated default password. If you forget to do this before you enable Wi-Fi, then somebody in your own neighborhood might be able to connect with it, reconfigure it, or get into all sorts of mischief with it. Look for prominent menu choices permitting you to change the password that's used to access the administrative functions of your wireless residential gateway. Usually these menu choices refer to words like administration or administrative access. Choose a password that cannot be found in any dictionary, because hackers have tools that automate the process of guessing with every dictionary word. The best passwords include several random-looking characters with letters, numbers, and punctuation. It's best not to use the same password that you use for other purposes. Make this one unique. Write down that password with its associated purpose and username. Store those notes in a safe place. Because my gateway device is located in a private, relatively secure area of my home, I usually write it down on a piece of paper that I tape to the underside. Once you've changed that administrative password, it's a good idea to exit from the administrative web page, restart your browser, and then go back to it. Your attempt to authenticate with the new password should confirm your success. You won't ever need that old password again, unless, due to some spectacular blunder, it ever becomes necessary to perform a factory reset. At this point, if you have other computers that you want to hardwire to your gateway device with Ethernet cables, you should be able to connect them successfully. Most modern Internet gateway devices support the well-known Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol services, so that your PCs will be automatically configured with appropriate IP addresses from the appropriate subnet if they are using DHCP in the usual way. You can learn a lot more about DHCP from the AskMisterWizard.com movie entitled Configuring Your Internet Connection Part 1, the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, or DHCP. Once all of your hardwired PCs have Internet access, you're ready to tackle management of your wireless networking logic.